Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I'm Mark. I hope everybody's doing well this Sunday morning. It's still a bit bright outside. Today's a special episode because I've got Mark Thomas, who people may know for his putting the drone up there at Bramley Moor Dock in the new stadium. And we're going to talk more about that as we go on through this episode. So, hi, Mark. How are you?
Hey Mark, morning. I'm good, thanks. Yourself? You good?
Yeah, not too bad for a Sunday morning after the night before, as I mentioned just before this before the podcast started. But yeah, it's welcome. It's been the footage and the content that you've been putting out over the last few years actually has been absolutely fantastic. But before we get into that, obviously there was a game last night, Everton nil, Newcastle nil. What was your thoughts on the performance by Everton last night?
There was indeed, wasn't there? It's quite unusual, Mark, isn't it, to wake up on a Sunday morning and it's like it's not all doom and gloom because it,
No,
it
no,
feels a little better, I suppose.
yeah,
I'm not sure we're playing the world class football that we all want to see as Evertonians just yet, but
no,
it feels so much better than the last couple of weeks. The start of the season
yeah,
was tragic, and you just start to worry, don't you? The last season at Goodison and all the noise
yeah.
that comes with that, and are we gonna stand up to the plate and deliver? And I think for the first few games, we thought, no, we're not, and we're still not firing, mate, are we? We're still not
No, we're,
firing.
no, we're
Loads
not.
to do there.
No, I think that again, performance wise, it just felt disjointed again. They can't pass the ball around. It's like they don't know each other. What I found in that, especially that first half, they were a little bit better. Obviously, we had the goal that was disallowed by Decore, which was just slightly off. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was just I think centrally that midfield for me was like it was like they were not there most of that game. To be honest with you, they needed to fill the gap off in the second half, but what I saw last night was yes, it's Newcastle, but yeah, as the season, as I mentioned, that yeah, as you mentioned, the season how it started and the defeats and the way we were playing, it just you just felt the inevitable. Here we go again. It's like going to be in another relegation scrap again. Obviously, the off the field activity with the takeover, obviously positive news on that front. But before that, it's just doom and gloom on it basically, and it was just like the game last night was. Can we just have a performance where we could actually enjoy watching a game of football and not,
yeah.
not always worry about it?
To be fair, Mark, you're right there. There is a load of here we go again amongst Evertonians because
Yeah,
we're seeing it all the time lately. But
yeah,
I'll be dead honest with you. I am an eternal optimist. You've got to be,
yeah.
haven't you, watching this for
Got to,
50
got
years?
to.
And I did take some positives. Certainly from the last few games. Actually,
Yeah,
went over to Leicester there last week.
mm,
Saw the game last week at Goodison and obviously
yeah,
yesterday. And it does feel a bit better. And I want to
yeah,
get confidence into the team. And I think that. And it's cliche, isn't it? That the fans play so much of a part in terms of what the result is. And look at yesterday and the work that the 1878s and everyone's doing
oh,
with the
it's
flag
amazing.
displays.
Yeah,
They're
it's amazing.
incredible. They're
Isn't it? Yeah,
incredible. I mean, we've got some green shoots. In Dye, the number 10 in the 10 role. My
yeah.
God, that lad looks amazing. He looks as though he's playing foosball half the time and he's just having a bit of fun with the opposition.
I just love him. I think he's got the PNR in him. I
Yeah,
think.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, without a
Uh,
shadow of a doubt.
I think I heard Phil Jagielka. I think I just saw it on YouTube or something this morning, and he basically said if he had Leighton Baines behind him, it would have been very interesting to see how those two would have played together. So
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
but
indeed.
yeah,
Yeah.
but for the positives, you're right. He got and I who every game. I think okay on two occasions he got past his men, but he just couldn't get that final pass, just gave it away a little bit. But he's so exciting. I think he's just going
Isn't
to get
he?
better and better. I think as the season's going to go on. So that's a positive. I
And
thought Michael
also,
Keane.
Mark, another positive from yesterday. We should have had the pen for me, and I know it's
Oh God, yeah,
debatable. Anywhere else on the field, that's a foul. And that
yeah,
and the goal that was disallowed,
yeah,
rightly, it was
yeah,
disallowed for
yeah.
offside. What a fantastic goal that nearly was.
That
And
going across.
that's the type of football you want to see, isn't it? Crosses in and then a big header and top corner. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, that Garner cross. I thought Jimmy Garner played absolutely fantastic yesterday. It took
Didn't
him a
he?
while in the
Yeah.
first half to get going, but as the second half went on, he was absolutely fantastic. He playing out of position. Obviously, I know he's played in that position before, but he was absolutely
Yeah, yeah.
and it just shows. Michael Keane had a really good game as well, and thought Ashley
He
Young had a
did.
good game. Obviously, Pickford making that penalty save, which was absolutely fantastic to see the reaction of Anthony Gordon. But
wasn't it just? You
Oh,
mentioned Young and Keane there, and
yeah,
they can get the stick, don't they? And sometimes it's right, and sometimes it's not.
no,
And we should
yeah,
share the love, and equally we should share the stick around the squad. And
absolutely,
I thought
absolutely. I mean, I
the
take
two of
after
them have been
myself.
good, haven't they? They've been really good the last couple of
Yeah,
games.
and I think that's a positive, and it strengthens that defense. That's what we need. So when Bradford does come back again, obviously the
Yeah,
injury was unfortunate, and then we've also got Mikalenko is out again. But when we got like Patterson as well coming back into the team as well, defensively we'll be a lot more stronger. But yeah, the positive you can see from yesterday's game was yeah, you see Michael Keane came back in, was far better, probably
yeah.
some people's man of the match if you put for that defensive display. Tarkovsky was a little bit off still. I found
But,
their penalty. I think he was all over him, pulling his shirt and everything else. But
and
again, his interpretation of the law in it. Because another week somebody else did. I think was it yesterday. Van Dijk did a little bit of a shove on
it,
Crystal
it
Palace
wasn't.
player.
It
Mm,
wasn't, and you're right. That's the bit that irks us, isn't it? And it irks all football fans, not just Evertonians.
yeah,
There's no consistency whatsoever. The referees are.
no,
It feels like they're making it up sometimes. And
yeah,
if he's not even sent to the monitor to review what happened to Dominic
yeah,
Calvert-Lewin,
yeah, yeah.
there's something wrong there, isn't there? And I think, going back to the penalty you mentioned there, Jordan Pickford,
Yeah.
fair play to him. He's coming for a bit of stick more recently,
He
and
has because
up
he's
to
not come out
Gordon and
for
all that nonsense, and
uh,
he tipped it away. So yeah, it wasn't a bad result at all yesterday.
I think what's happening with ourselves as fans is that because with social media and everything else, everything is dissected in it. Basically, every minute, every second of a game, you watch and watch. You see Pickford in the last few games. Yes, he has not been coming out for crosses, so everybody's been critical of that. Why is he not doing that? Is it the manager's decision to ask him to stay back? And all this, it's just people that speculating and just jumping to assumptions about everything and everything. And yeah, but yesterday, I think I felt sorry for Calvert-Lewin because I think he just chased everything, but he's just not getting it in any kind of
I know.
opportunity.
Yeah,
And I think it's just, as I mentioned, the only doubt was that the central midfield. It was just like we're launching the ball towards Calvert-Lewin, and it was the drop downs were going right back into the central area, and there's none of where was our central midfield. They were nowhere to be seen, and they were
I
just
know.
picking up the ball and then moving forward with it. And I'm just that was a really disappointing thing. But other than that, there were a lot of really good positive take homes from that. And we're just growing that. We've got an international break now, and then we come for the next game against Ipswich.
Yeah,
And we just go from there. Of course, we're done the next game at home is Fulham. And an opportunity to pick up some more points. So I think we'll be fine. And when we got all our players back, I think it'll be, even better. So, yeah, take the positive of it. We move forward. And that's the main thing. We go into international break in a positive frame of mind. So,
yeah,
yes,
and that's that. You mentioned social media there, Mark. And you're right. It does get dissected, and that's why we're all on social media, isn't it? To have a
is
view and an
it?
opinion. But
Yeah, we just write.
it never gets dissected in the positive, does it? Everyone's rubbish and it's all doom and gloom. But
No, but I think it's at this moment it's picking everything. It's like Sean Dyche. Obviously, whatever we think about Sean Dyche, people, if you listen to my podcast, my views on him, I think
yeah, I
he's
know them.
not
Yeah.
going to be the manager of the club going forward when the takeover is complete. I think they're going to go in a different direction
Mhm.
because we got to have we're moving into and we'll get onto the new stadium. Obviously, we're moving into a brand new stadium. We need to have the right people in place to take the club forward for
Yes.
the next, a plan in place in the next 5 years to get this club back to where it belongs, basically. So that we
Yes.
shouldn't be where we are, basically. I'm not being arrogant because I know there's a lot of football fans out there. I think, oh, you just think that we should be in the Premier League all the time at the top end of the table, but our history and it dictates that we should be on the size of the club that we are. We should be where we are. So,
It's funny.
we should be up there challenging. So
It's
hopefully,
funny, isn't it? The football's around. We talk about the entitlement culture, and you know what? We are entitled to it, and we're
yeah,
entitled to it because we've seen brilliant football at Goodison
oh yeah,
Park, many years ago, and
yeah,
we've seen a whole host of not that brilliant football more recently. And you're
yeah,
right. I think that the stadium it's a new dawn, it's a new opportunity
yeah,
to get things right everywhere, Mark. Off the
yeah,
pitch, on the pitch, the ownership is dead exciting, and all
yeah,
of a sudden, we've got this. I look at Everton as it's the biggest part of your life, isn't it? And it's like a sleeping giant that's still to wake up.
yeah.
It's like, come on, hurry up and wake up, will you? We're all getting on a bit.
It's just taken so long, hasn't it? It's like. if
Just
you
a
want to
bit.
really go back, the last year we won the FA Cup in '95. But if you really want to go back, away, it's like 1987,
The
and after
80s.
we won the league, and then it just went after that. It was just like you can just see it, can't you? It just
Yeah,
slowly. So it's 30 something years, isn't it,
yeah,
of a
so
time where we've just not been challenging at all. Even in the Moyes era, we got to a good position with it when Moyes was managing, but we never was able to kick on to go further, and it just never went that way. So
I agree.
hopefully, yeah, take over
Fingers
comes on.
crossed.
I know we just want to get completed basically, and just get it
We have, yeah.
to get the right people in and start moving this club forward. And you're right. We'll get onto the stadium now. But yeah, the first, wow, at the moment you can look at it currently, and I've been outside. I think probably August, probably well, I was trying to think, well, probably about 6 months ago. I went and I was outside Bramley Moor, and the size of it's massive. And I just can't believe how am I going to get round there to get to my seat when I go and get me season ticket, when I go where I'm going to sit. I'm basically thinking, oh my God, it's just so big. But from your perspective, you're there mostly. Are you mostly there week to week, and you're up there with your drone and everything else? Putting that content out there. What each week, what you're feeling, seeing something different change and something, you just added something else to the, like the fan zone or something different in the stadium. So, what's your feelings when each week when you're putting that drone up there? What you're going to see new or something different?
Well, firstly, mate, well, you talk about the size of it, Mark, and you can't. And I was funny, I was having this conversation this morning, actually on Twitter, lo and behold,
Yeah,
or X, I do apologise. I was having this conversation this morning. Someone said that they went there yesterday, and
yeah,
it's massive, it's immense. You run out of the sort of descriptor words for it, and
yeah.
you can't describe it. And I've been throwing the drone up since it was water in that dock,
I know.
and you cannot capture the scale. There's no way of capturing it without standing next
Yeah,
to it. So what you've just said there is absolutely true. It is breathtaking what they've done, and it's dead funny watching some of the comments popping around Sobel,
oh,
generic bowl, and all of that. And look, that's fine. You can have a bit of banter and a bit of sport, but
yeah,
go
yeah,
to the stadium, go and look at it. It's absolutely, it's just huge. And you're right. I've been there since it was water going in the dock, since that boat was dredging the sand out of Liverpool Bay and sticking it into the dock
yeah,
there, and the water starts to evacuate. And then, in fact, Mark, if you go back before that,
yeah,
because of my work, obviously I'm in the fire and rescue service, and
yeah, yeah,
because of that, we got invited to the initial press launch
yeah,
of what Bramley Moor Dock would look like, and it was at the
yeah,
Titanic. It's probably 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago, and Dan Meese was there with
yeah,
Denise Barrett Baxendale and others
yeah,
from the football club, explaining what this would look like. And
yeah,
I'll be honest with you, mate, that the room was full. And many Evertonians were there, myself included, in a professional and a work capacity.
yeah.
And we all looked at it and it was like, nah, no chance. Because
No,
we'd seen it all before. It was like, this is not going to happen. That there's no way that we're going to turn that piece of land, only 100 yards or so away from the Titanic, by
absolutely.
the way,
Yeah,
into the stadium that we're looking at in front of us. And honestly, Mark, and again, a comment was made last night on X about the artist's render of the stadium, the
yeah,
concept designs.
yeah.
They are exactly like the stadium looks now. It's
It,
bizarre, and
it,
it's
it's
developing to
amazing
that.
that what they've done. I mean, of course, we talk about the issues of the field, obviously, with the ownership and also the club
Yeah.
itself, financials, and all the usual stuff that's going on. But what's happened with the stadium and the fact that they stayed on point all the way through the process
Oh,
from
yeah.
the beginning right to the end. And you're right at the beginning when Dan Mice did that, I wasn't there. I saw the videos and everything else when he was there and talking and explaining how the stadium's going to look and everything else. And I said, "Ah, that's not going to get built like that. It's not going to get
Yeah,
built.
yeah.
It's fantastic. We don't deserve something like that, the size like that, and where it is, where the area is. Of course, obviously it's cost a lot of money to and all the different type of investment that's gone into it.
Yeah.
But you're right. I had that same reaction. And, even my wife, she's a red, sadly.
I'm lucky.
I know. But she basically said, no, that's not going to get built. You're going to stay at Goodison. You won't. you know, you're not going to move forward. You're not going to go. You're not going to move forward. You're not going to get any further. But that's just coming from the typical red, really. But that's just their
Yeah.
response. And I think
Well, I thought that the UNESCO thing at the time,
yeah,
that was sort
yeah,
of knocking around. I thought that might put the
yeah.
sort of the mockers on it, but even the most ardent red, and you have your banter, don't you? And you have your
Oh
sport
God, yeah,
with your red colleagues.
yeah.
Even the most ardent red knows that what that is doing to that local area, and the local area in
Yeah,
particular, in that particular part of Liverpool, it needs
yeah,
investment, it needs money, it needs
absolutely,
rejuvenation and revitalisation.
absolutely.
And it's more than a football ground going in there. It's hope for the city, to be honest with
It's
you, Mark.
Yeah, the thing is that when I've been there, I mean, I've taken a picture when I was in New Brighton on the beach, took it from the opposite side, and I've
Yeah,
been there a couple of times. I went there when it was absolutely just a couple of bit of stands in place, and it was like a building site in the sense of it. And I even then the size of it, but when I've been there, and you've got obviously the Bramley-Moore, you go in there, you've got the Bramley-Moore pub, and you've got
yeah,
all the bars are going to start to go there already. We've already seen, if you go on social media, already started to, like the Beer Keller and all the
yeah,
different bars and restaurants are going to start creeping up around there. The real thing that I'm really proud about is when I'm standing there and look around the area, it needs regenerating. You can just tell it's a perfect spot, perfect place for regeneration. And
isn't
you
it?
think about the thousands of jobs it's going to create, the money that's not just coming for the club, basically, is going to businesses around the whole of the area, and it's just going to be. We don't like to talk about tourists and everything else, but it's going to become a tourist hotspot because it's not just going to be a football stadium. It's going to be like for entertainment, concerts, you name it. It's just going to completely make that area fantastic, and it's only half an hour away from the city centre. And it's just
Oh,
amazing that if you wanted to walk towards it, and as you're walking there in the future, next few years, you're going to have like hotels are going to start turning up. You're going to have restaurants, bars, everything, all the great things, and you're going to be able to walk towards Bramley Moor. And I just had that picture in my head walking there. If I wanted to walk from the city centre, and
yeah.
it's a sunny day, and it's the first game of the season, like next August, and you walk if you wanted to walk towards there, and it's just going to be that feeling you're going to have. It's going to be so amazing, and that's what's going to be great, and that's why I think get this takeover sorted and everything else. When we settle down and everything is sorted in a way, we're going to go. I think we're going to be, we can talk about Aston Villa the way how great they're doing. We're going to be the next club. I think we'll be moving in that direction as well if we get it right, obviously. But as you say about the regeneration of that area, it's going to be amazing and it's going to be exciting for the local people around there who
It is.
work there currently, but also live nearby. They're just going to love seeing what's happening to their city in that area where it's been derelict for over 100, for a long, long 100 years, probably longer. It's just amazing. So, yeah,
Mark,
absolutely.
we were very fortunate to be invited by
Yeah,
Lango. And, we
yeah,
talk about the value to the city moving
yeah,
forward. We got invited, some of the drone flyers to the stadium on a
yeah,
visit by Lango Rourke and Everton. And they talked to us about, the social return on investment
yeah.
to this point. And it's hundreds of millions of pounds to
It
this
is, yeah,
point.
yeah,
And that's around, apprentices being employed on the project.
yeah, yeah,
I'm sure there was a figure of around about 24,000 students who were
yeah,
engaged
oh,
throughout activities,
yeah,
and that whole sort of social value generation
mm,
is you can't, well, they have put a price on it. They've been able to do that, but in terms of what it does to engage a workforce, to
mm,
engage a city, to address local deprivation,
yeah,
it's absolutely priceless. And moving forward, in terms of what Lango Rourke have brought to this point,
yeah.
it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, just go back in time because one of the things I wanted to ask yourself because the content that you put out, week in week out, and I'll
Yeah,
put a mention to Baz as well, Baz 1878, Nick, Mr.
yeah, yeah.
Drone, many others who have been right at the beginning as well. I just like one of the most interesting things, what prompted you to actually get your drone and go out today? I'm going to go up there and
Well, I've been an Evertonian all my life, so
yeah,
my first game was 1976,
wow,
and that was with my dad, obviously. As a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
little boy, then when I went up to the top balcony for the first time, and Latchford and Co were up there,
Oh,
But it was a real sort of I'll never forget the smells of the
Yeah,
escalator from the top
yeah,
balcony, and
yeah,
me dad
yeah,
saying, "Oh, there's an escalator up here, so look at this." And the first time you see it,
yeah,
I do envy those people at the moment who, when they go to the ground and they're able
yeah.
to video their youngsters seeing the football pitch for the
No,
first time. I love all of that.
absolutely.
I can't remember what game it was that I went to. So I've been an Evertonian all my life, and
Yeah,
I got to 50, and my wife said, what do you want for your 50th birthday? And it's kind of
yeah,
like, oh, I don't really know. You got everything, haven't you, by the time you're 50? So she said a drone. She said she fancied a drone. So got a drone, and it was,
yeah,
it's relatively sort of, entry level
yeah,
in markets. You can spend thousands and thousands of pounds on these
yeah,
things. And I haven't. I just kept the same
yeah,
drone that I got bought for my 50th. And
yeah,
I like my photography. I love Everton Football Club. So I got over there about 3.5 years ago.
yeah.
And you mentioned Baz 1878 there. The first time I put the drone up, Barry was getting this out of the boot
Well,
of his
they,
car. And I said, look, man, this is the first time I've used this, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. And I have my license, not my license, sorry. You've got to fill in a civil aviation
yeah,
or test, that you have to do annually, and you've got to register your drone. So I've done all of that,
yeah,
but practically working the thing and flying it around a site was quite new to me, really. So Barry
yeah,
gave us pointers, and I like Barry, and we're quite close. Him and I, we
yeah,
went for a pint only a week or two ago with another
yeah.
buddy.
I saw the pictures. Yeah,
Yeah, with
nice to
Steve
see that.
Carlisle as well. And it's nice, and there is a
Yeah,
bit of a community. And I talk to the other drone operators, we all share stuff.
yeah.
And we were talking to the guy Craig around his
Yeah.
he got attacked by the seagulls down there,
Oh,
didn't he?
did he?
That brought his drone down. So we do sort of put stuff on a group that we're in together.
Yeah.
And like I say, was never really interested in drones. I've always
No.
liked photography, but once I started, and I work not too far away. I work over in Bootle there. It's
Yeah.
kind of my route to and from home. So I just started doing it. It was probably once a fortnight, maybe
Yeah.
once every 3 weeks in the first instance. While they're filling the thing in.
Yeah.
And as they start to put, steel work in the ground, and you get more and more interested, and then the club
Absolutely.
reached out to us actually, Mark,
Yeah.
uh, and they said, "Look, we know that you're all keen drone flyers." They spoke to us. They said, "Would you mind playing by our rules? Here's the times we want you to come. Here's the route
Absolutely.
we want you to take." And it was an unequivocal yes. Well, of course we
Yeah.
will do. As long as we can carry on doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So it really sort of stemmed from them, Mark, and
Yeah.
I've been there pretty well every week since, and
It's
people
it,
in work say to me, you must be there all the time, and I'm like, no, well, no, I'm there for like maybe 40 minutes every week,
I would
and
guess
I
it's
just,
yeah.
just take loads of footage and come home and edit it, when I've got a spare moment.
I would guess that the content, I think, because what is great, because I've noticed week to week, it's not just week to week, it's like day to day with yourself now, where
Yeah,
it's pictures as well. It's not just the content, what you're taking obviously from the drone, but you put them into like your photography side of it, like which you like doing, and it's
yeah,
seeing different things. I mean, I saw the picture when it's like at night time, and wow, pictures like it's just like stands out like that, and you just think you wait for a night game. And
yeah,
for me, as a viewer watching this right from the beginning, because at the beginning, when obviously they started they get the water out and start putting the sand in, the club was thinking of putting like a website at the beginning, they putting like a camera and he was going to do something. Obviously, it didn't at that stage was happening. So when I
mhm,
started to see, it started off for me, it was like Mr. Drone was the first thing I saw it was on social media. Somebody showed that. Then I
yeah,
saw yourself, one of
mhm,
your videos. Then it was Baz's.
yeah,
You seem to be the three people that I kept on seeing on social media, and that's when I started to follow because I wanted to keep up with the updates. And then, of course, now, was it 4 years and then 5 years since? Well, it's amazing how quickly it's gone.
mm,
How now, from there to then, and you've got like the amount of people that actually watch your videos, watch your content week in, week out. And even Dan Mice actually liked one of your, I think was it the video or the picture that you took. He absolutely loved it, didn't he? So you
yes,
get from the man himself who created this wonderful stadium that we're
yeah,
can't get into, getting excited. I know Goodison, we're all going to be very, very sad when we leave Goodison, I mean, from my personal perspective, I sit in the main stand currently, but
Hmm.
I was your first game. I was when I was born, so basically, I was in 1976. So my memory is more the
Thanks.
80s. I'm
Yeah,
going to the games with my granddad, who is not. We're not Scousers. We're not from Liverpool,
yeah.
but he's from Belfast originally. But
Hmm.
he's a big Evertonian, and he would go to both Anfield and Goodison back in the day in the 50s and
Yeah,
60s. But he was one who took me to the games because my brother also is a Red.
yeah,
It seemed to be the thing. I was the only one who decided to want to support Everton
yeah, yeah,
more than anybody else. But it was the early 80s. But he took me some games and everything else before he passed away. But my memories, like in standing in Gladys Street, in the experience of being a young child, because I was probably about 10 or 11, and the experience, the atmosphere and everything. I can't remember what the game was. Listening to yourself, I can't remember the game, what it was. But going to there now, and each game that we go to at Goodison, I mean, it's 15 games left, I think, or something like that before the end of the season.
yeah. 15 league games, yeah. And you're
League.
right, Mark. It holds so many memory. And look, I get not everyone is that bothered about leaving Goodison, and that
No, no.
there's a theory that there's a bit of a curse going on there. And I do love Goodison Park, and I've got so
Yeah,
many fond memories. And
yeah.
you played. I've played there twice, in fact.
Oh,
And
yeah, great. Oh,
we got married there.
yeah,
I've had parties there, and
yeah,
you've had a season ticket there for however many years, and I love it. Even yesterday when the lights come on, the floodlights come on, you're looking around and you look up, and Archibald Leach design on that
yeah,
top. I'm in the enclosure. I'm in the family enclosure at
yeah,
the moment. That's where I've been the last sort of 10 years or so.
yeah,
And I love the stadium. I love to look left and right and see the Gladys Street looks amazing when it is
yeah,
like it was yesterday. It's and that was I was blooded on the Gladys Street,
yeah,
hanging onto the barrier behind the goal, and they were great days. They were great days, and
yeah.
you come to that point where you've got to move on, haven't you? And you've got to look forward, and
Absolutely.
and this is it for us. And we've had, like I said before, we've had so many false dawns. It's been really painful for us as Evertonians.
Yes,
And we do
it
deserve
has.
this, and that's not being entitled. That's having a lifetime of being the underdog. And
Absolutely.
what you described there, Mark, around your sort of family setup's not too dissimilar to my own.
Yeah,
I'm not a Scouser. I'm from
yeah,
the Wirral, so I'm
yeah,
a
yeah,
Wirral, like,
yeah,
and I've lived there all my life. And Tranmere Rovers is my local
yeah,
footy team, and
yeah,
I used to go and watch them on a Friday
yeah,
night. And similar to yourself, we used to go to Anfield one day, Goodison the next
yeah, yeah,
Saturday. But I've always been an Evertonian. I always was an Evertonian.
yeah,
And my brother went the other way. He's a Red.
yeah,
I was always an Evertonian, and when I was sort of 10 and 11 and 12 and going the match with my mates on my own,
yeah,
these people are like gods to you. And
yeah.
once you get it into your system, you can never get it out, can you? So
The thing is,
I will be sad to see it go. I will be sad to see it go.
I mean, the countdown. It's just, it's not just what you get in the stadium, as you mentioned, who you sit with. It's people around me. I mean,
Yeah,
they become like close friends. You talk
yeah,
about the game, because we're all, in fact, we all support Everton, obviously. And when we move into that stadium, we may move somewhere that they're not going to be there anymore.
mm,
Where you're not going to see them again. They're going to be somewhere else, probably in the stadium or wherever it might happen. But then you meet others, and you meet new people as you go into the new stadium when we do move in. And but you're right, it's I go with my mates to the football, and it's the drive to the game. We go to have something to eat before the game. It's walking to the ground. Um, it's doing the same thing, the routine that you have. I
yeah,
Going into the church, go and have a look at the programs. That's why I tend to go a bit earlier before my mates do, and I
yeah,
go in early. So I go to go and have a look at the old programs and everything else, and have a wander around there for a bit, and then go in early just to settle down, get myself ready for the game when I get into the ground. And it's just that's my thing that I do. And
yeah,
then everybody turns up, we could just start having that banter, we can start chatting, moaning that we tend to do when we're watching the
yeah,
football and everything, watching the game. But that's what I'm going to miss. It's also, in the main stand where I am, it's quite tight. And, if you want to go and get something to eat or something, that it's quite tight in that little area where I am. And
yeah,
you're gonna. I'm gonna miss all that because when we go into the new stadium, it's gonna be spaced out. You'll be able to walk around you think, oh God, like you just like you open your arms up, you think, oh, you know, something so wonderful
Yeah,
that we're gonna have, and we're gonna make it our own. And in time, it's just gonna be like, as the years go on, New Stadium will become like, like Goodison in a way, to become our home. It'll just take time, obviously, for all of us as fans
yeah,
to get used to it, get used to the day-to-day routine. Because, as I mentioned, what you do with the drone footage and what you being in the stadium at the moment,
yeah,
being in the stadium, seeing the size of it, what a photo doesn't always give. It looks massive when you take a photo, but with your own eyes, it's
yeah,
your own eyes. It's what you see if you sit on that seat or where you're sitting wherever you are in that stadium. From your perspective, that photo can say lots of things, but it's what your eyes are telling you because it's different from what a photo can give you. And I'm guessing when you've been in there and walked around and had a look, you like, what else you going to see around that corner? What else you going to think? Look at that, what they've done there, what the details that they've done, not just inside the
Do you
stadium,
know
but
what, Mark? It's immense, honestly.
yeah,
And everything that you talk about there in terms of Goodison's a beautiful old
yeah,
football ground, and that's what she is. She's an old football
yeah,
ground, and
yeah,
with limited leg room and with nothing behind the stands, that this place is like it's vast, and the areas underneath where
yeah,
you congregate.
it's
There's a
big,
bar there in the south stand that was made of
yeah,
granite, and again, I'm
yeah,
fortunate enough to visit the place not too long ago, and it's a single granite bar that spans the whole of the south stand. It's absolutely outrageous, and it's
yeah,
massive. And you can just vision people in there having space,
yeah,
somewhere to put your cup of tea or your pint
yeah,
down, and you can feel efficiency in there, And I do have to say this, and I am going to say this anyway.
yeah, yeah,
Lango Rourke and everyone else that's worked on the site. I think at the height and around about now, there's around about 1,200 people working there every
yeah,
day,
yeah, yeah,
and the people that have brought that to reality is
yeah.
absolutely, it's full credit to them.
Yeah,
And I do read some of the responses to my posts sometimes, and certainly some of the critical ones, and you think that there's no need for that. It's
no,
nonsense that firstly you don't quite understand what the stadium looks like. You don't know what the snags might look like. It's still a building site.
yeah,
You shouldn't be critical of something that these people have. It's immense. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm very fortunate to have talked to the project director down there
yeah,
as well. And he talks of his pride of what his team have done, and he absolutely should. They should be bouncing with pride because that's not just a
absolutely,
football
absolutely.
stadium. Oh,
They,
that's everything to us. That's our future. It's the next chapter in our history.
because,
It's
yeah,
amazing.
because that stadium, when it's built, that's going to be there for forever, basically.
Of course, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and it's going to be generational new fans that are going to be going there. Forever and ever until football doesn't exist anymore, if it ever did. But you're right. But the thing is, what they have done. This is when a project that has run so smoothly. But for me, it's like every week, content that you put out, or Nick, Mr. Drome, or Baz, whoever puts
yeah.
out that content, is something different. They've added something different over there that I've not seen before, and I go, wow, what? Wow, look at that! And the biggest realization for me was when I realized when we're going to move inside, when the seats start getting put in, and then the next bit is when the grass is going to be put on, when they start seeing green grass on the pitch. I was like thinking, it's getting nearer, it's getting
So
nearer.
I
And
think if I recall rightly, Mark, I think I was told that the grass is being seeded.
yeah,
So it's not getting brought in; it's being seeded. I think
seed
it's
is in
either
it,
this
yeah,
week or next, and
yeah,
then within 3 weeks you'll start to see some green around
yeah.
that.
Oh,
Mark, just while you're talking about the other
yeah,
drone operators, I do have to say the content across the piece is outstanding.
absolutely.
And Barry and Nick in particular,
Yeah,
and others, who do the sort of talk around the
yeah,
stadium when they
mm,
fly. I
yeah,
love that. I've not been brave enough to do that quite yet because, as you can hear, I've got a really tedious voice, so I'm quite happy to just throw some music on it. But the
yeah,
guys that do it, everyone does it differently. We all do it uniquely. We're all on the
absolutely.
same page in terms of
Yeah,
we're documenting this huge step in the history of Everton Football Club. And,
yeah,
and and if you just go back to something else that you mentioned, mate, around Mr. Me, Stan Meese,
yeah,
I
yeah,
have had some. communications with Dan, and
Yeah,
I feel completely privileged to have those communications, and
yeah,
I'll get asked, is it okay if you use this photograph
yeah, yeah,
for a magazine? And I'm like, well, yeah, all
yeah.
day long. Why would I say no to that? Of course, yeah. It's a privilege to be in the position that we're in, to be able to
No,
record and to, to sort of capture the next stage in our history, Mark.
it is. I think with Dan, I mean, he's just taken on board. He's become a fan basically, and he's not just an
Mm,
architect that's just come in to create this wonderful stadium that we're seeing. But he's become a fan. He's just getting right behind the club. He loves everything about Everton
he
Football Club.
does.
When Everton touch you, as they say, isn't it? So when it comes along, and it's just what kind of people we are. Yes, we moan, and yes, we do. We, we can get very critical about players or manager, all the sorts of things.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
we are a family, and we care about the people that we, who around us, and everything that is out there currently about the content with what we're seeing with your videos and Nick or Baz and many of the others who have come along as well because they put great content out. With Nick, I don't know him personally, but when he puts that content out and he talks about, when people ask him questions, it's great what he does to try to
yeah, yeah,
explain what's happening with the project. And because like yourself, he speaks to the project manager, the team
yeah,
there, and he gets the just what's going on. Because obviously, somebody has that wonderful video that was out there last week about the when it was raining and the flooding was coming, all the
yeah.
water was coming down. And basically, it's still a building site. Everybody saw that, but somebody had to try and create a negative on the whole bloody thing.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
It's not Old Trafford, basically. Not you've been there.
It's not, it will never be Old Trafford, thankfully.
No, but that's what I mean. It's just that is the content, and that's why I wanted you to come on. It's because I appreciate what you are doing, what you guys are doing, because
Yeah,
it's documenting for me as a fan, just a viewer, week in, week out, just seeing this content and seeing where I'm going to go in the future as an Evertonian and the optimism that I have and the excitement that I'm going to have going there as a fan for the first time and be able to hopefully see our team because the main thing at the end of the day, the team hopefully improve and get better and we can move forward and we'll have this wonderful stadium that
oh yeah,
everybody, that wall that's going to be there. I mean, I suffer from a condition called Meniere's disease, which caused me to be dizzy. So
yeah,
I will not be sitting in that kind of place, looking
mm,
right down on it.
yeah,
That,
yeah.
but I'll be a bit lower down, hopefully. But but it's just amazing what you guys are doing. I do appreciate that. I appreciate what you guys are doing week in, putting your time, to go out there and actually do it week in, week out. And it'd be
Thank
interesting what happens after it's built and it's completed, where you continue on with your droning and actually going up there and how you're going to keep that going because we're going to have all sorts of entertainment concerts going on. We're going to have like match days, obviously. We're going to get the drone up there for the match days and that as well. So it's going
Yeah,
to
I've been
see.
asked that. It's funny. So you can't actually put your drone up on match days.
No, obviously,
You can't
no.
go near the crowds and that. But I have been asked, what afterwards, and
Mm,
I'm looking forward to seeing the finished product
yeah,
around the stadium. But then over to Goodison Park, what happens there? And I saw some
yeah,
original plans for turning the area into giving the area back almost to the community in terms
yeah,
of social housing, mental health hubs,
yeah.
education, etc. I'm not that up to date with the plans at the moment, and I'll be dead honest with you,
No,
Mark. I'm not sure
I know.
they are finalised yet, given where we are with the ownership. But
No,
just and again, back to your point, mate, around the stadium, and I don't think any Everton fan is daft enough to think that just by having a shiny new stadium, everything will change. It's
no.
everything else. It's everything else that'll make it change.
Yeah,
It's the revenue. It's the new
yeah,
ownership.
yeah,
It's how we manage that business model,
yeah,
and how we attract, world class players into Everton Football Club. And,
yeah,
and equally, let's, I'm not too sure that the manager at the moment will go into the stadium. Maybe it will. I don't know. But we've got to look at this as the opportunity to
yeah.
reset. And I'm pretty sure that the Freaking Group, if they get it over the line, which
Yeah.
it looks like they will
They
do,
will, yeah.
yeah, I don't think that they're going to rely on a business model that sets them up to fail. And I
No,
think they understand the passion of Evertonians and what it means to us, but equally what it means to the city, more largely there. So there's so many opportunities attached to that one stadium. So, but yeah, moving back to back to the question there, mate. I don't know. I don't know what comes next with the drone. It might just be nice to have
Yeah,
Sunday mornings in the house without having to get up
yeah.
at the idea when you see the sun coming through the blinds.
You probably will find. I mean, off match, not match days specifically, but you'll be able to, still take it up there. And because
Sure. Yeah.
the other thing that's going to be funny, it's not just the stadium, but everything that's going to be built around it, because that's going to be the next thing. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what's going to be the next things that's going to come in. As I've mentioned, like hotels, or plenty. It's going because it's going to become like a 7 day a week, not just a stadium. It's going to be a 7 day a week that you can go in there and go to the restaurants that they have on site, obviously the club shop and everything else that they're going to have at the stadium, but around the area. So when you start, you're going to probably be putting the drone up for the regeneration of the rest of the area. And I think that's what's going to be your next thing, probably, just to see how it all going to come together as one area going forward. So,
There's so much down there, Mark, and you talk about that
oh
central
yeah,
park that links up
yeah,
the north of the city to the dock, and that in itself, what a project, and
it is.
you can feel the expansion of the city. You can
Yeah,
feel it sort of,
and that's
lay
what. Yeah,
towards the Titanic Hotel and the
yeah,
Bramley-Moore Stadium. It feels nice. And when you go down there with the dock, I do go down at like sort of sundown and sun up sometimes. There's not
yeah,
loads of people there, but when I go down there in the middle of the day, it
yeah,
feels like people are starting to be around there. And you can
yeah,
almost feel the excitement in the area. It's nice. It's really nice because there's a whole host of the 10 Streets area. There's a whole
yeah,
host of social gathering places down
yeah,
there. It's lovely to feel that, and it's really nice to sort of feel the regeneration in that
yeah.
area. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we played a huge part of that, but it's bigger than Everton Football Club, isn't it? It's about the city as well.
It is a bit safe, but I think it's always great that it's a football club that's basically doing the do, actually
Yeah,
doing what they've
yeah,
always done, being the first to build when they built Anfield and then Goodison, and of course,
yeah. I love
Bramley Moore,
that.
always being the
We love
first.
that, don't we?
Well, we always like being the first, one up on them. But yeah, it's going to be great to see because you're right about, I think we parked over near the Titanic Hotel. You just walk right round. As soon as you walk right round, you see this absolutely massive big stadium there. And
Mhm.
what's going to happen around that area is going to be fantastic. And I feel it great, for like the Bramley Moore pub as well. You go in there for a pint, but it's going to be, all the people going in there at the moment, they're going to get absolute loads of thousands of people want to get a pint in there, aren't they? So it's going
Yeah.
to be fantastic for them, for their business as well, because just
Mhm.
at one time they would just sit there and just have the usual locals going in, but it's now going to have so many thousands of Evertonians going in all the time. So it's going to be good for them and
And I have
everybody
to
else.
say, Mark, they pull a cracking pint of Guinness in the
Oh, do
Bramley
they?
Moore
Oh,
pub. So
do
there we
they?
go.
Oh, I do
There's a
like me
free
Guinness.
advert for the Bramley Moore pub. Get
Oh,
yourselves there on match days.
I'm going to have to venture in there at some point because I do like me Guinness in there. So I do like me Guinness. I'd have
Good.
to have one. But yeah, thank you again for coming on. It's been I'll definitely have to come back on again. It'd be absolutely fantastic again near completion probably to talk more about the stadium and
Brilliant.
hopefully Everton moving up the table as well. So for me,
Hopefully.
it's been an absolute privilege having you on. It's been fantastic to learn more about obviously the stadium, obviously about droning as well because it's something I know about, but learning more about that, and you know it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And hopefully, yes, I'll definitely get you back on again. Hopefully, when closer to the completion, and we can talk more about the stadium and then go from there. But yeah,
I've loved it,
Mark,
Mark.
it's
Thank you.
been an absolute pleasure having you on. I
Yeah, look, I've loved it. It's been a pleasure being on, Mark, as well. And
yeah,
up the toffees, and let's hope
oh
for some positive stuff moving forward. And I honestly, I do I do try to have to sort of temper my optimism sometimes,
yeah,
but
I know.
this feels like it. It feels like we're in
It
a really
feels like it, but we've
strong
been through
position.
it. We've been through this false dawn so many times. Let's just hope everything goes according to plan. We can move forward and as a club because when we're all on the same page as fans,
Of course we
as
are.
I
Yeah.
say, we're a force to be reckoned with. I think, and I think let's hope. That's all we say. The hope that kills you, doesn't it? But yeah, we
Indeed.
could. I mean, on this podcast today, we could be talking for 2 hours, 3 hours if we wanted to. But it's just been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Oh,
And
thanks.
yes, definitely come on again in the future. It'd be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, thanks, Mark, for coming on. I'm just to say to everybody, I hope you all have a good weekend. The podcast will be out tomorrow, so This is the Rambling Toffee and Mark signing out. So I'll speak to you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye now. Bye.